We're ready to get started with, for me, what's my favorite part of anything I ever get to do in this job, which is to recognize grassroots heroes. There are thousands of grassroots heroes in this organization. Everywhere I go, I meet them. In every city, at every event. And they're not just in the leadership team. I think all the leadership teams are heroes, but every person I meet that I cross paths with that's willing to give their time and their treasure, their effort to help save the country is a hero. I said this in an earlier breakout session, so it bears repeating. Everybody that's in this room is extraordinary. And the reason that I say you're extraordinary, that's not just puffery. You know, most people don't pay any attention to politics. A lot of people don't vote. Even a lot of people who vote, they're not informed voters. They don't even know what they're voting about. In this audience, everybody is informed. Everybody votes. You know, I had somebody say to me one time, a political person, you know, I think your people are probably what we would call people who are, you know, are likely voters. You've heard that term, right? Likely voters? I'm like, likely voters? I said, unless they die before the election, all of my people are going to vote. They're not Democrats, so they're not going to vote if they die. But other than that, they're definitely all going to vote, right? So that's amazing. Just if you look around this audience, you can be sure that everybody here is going to vote. That's an incredible thing. That's not normal in America. But it's not just that you vote and then you're paying attention. It's that you're actually willing to go out and do something beyond that. You actually are people who go to their legislatures, talk to their legislators, write the emails, write the letters by hand, make the phone calls, send the text. You know, they talk about the 1% in the country when they talk about wealth. You guys are like the 1/10 of 1% when it comes to being engaged in saving your country. It's way more than just calling a convention of states. This is what we're trying to do, is create this army of citizen activists. I would argue we've already created, was one of our goals, was to create the largest army of self-governing citizen activists in the history of the country. And we have that army now, but we're just getting started. It's important that we remember why we're doing that too. I mean, we do talk a lot about passing applications and calling a convention, and that stuff's really important, and we're gonna do that stuff, but the point is to create a self-governing nation again, right? To create the conditions where we understand what it means to be self-governing citizens. And what it means is it's up to us, right? Self-governing doesn't mean I just get to decide what I want to do and I govern my own life. That's kind of the libertarian way. You know, they would call that self-governance. To be self-governing means that you're part of the governing system. It means you're responsible for the school board and the city council and the county board and the water board and the park district, and you're responsible for your state legislature, and you're responsible, you individually, for who's sitting in your congressional seat. You're responsible for who's your United States Senator, and ultimately you are personally responsible for who ends up being President of the United States. That's what it means to be a self-governing nation. And that's what we're trying to train people to do. And what's so incredible when I look out in this room and see everybody sitting here, and Ginny and I, through you, are looking out, not just in this room, but about everybody in the nation who's involved, is you guys are those self-governing citizens, right? You should give yourselves a round of applause for being those people. So what we're going to do is start by giving out one of the highest awards that we give, and this is called the Challenge Coin Award. And Ginny's going to give you a little bit of the history and explain the reason behind the significance of our challenge coins.
Okay. I am going to take just a moment to explain to you what the challenge coin is, and it goes back a long time. It's not anything new, and typically it was connected with the military, and it's never been given lightly. And it's always been given to someone who has gone above and beyond the call of duty. There's a story of a young soldier who came back from a really difficult deployment. And when he came back, his commander came and walked up to shake his hand. And as he did that, he slipped a challenge coin in his hand. And to some people, that might have just been a piece of tin. But for him, he left there knowing that he had been noticed, he had been appreciated, and he even had been honored. And so these men and women that are going to be coming up here tonight are men and women who with COS have gone way above and beyond the call of duty. They've sacrificed their time, their talent, their treasure, their sacred honor on behalf of a mission that they're not getting paid for, and they have gone way above. So as the men and women get these coins, and I'm saying this to them right now, know that you have been noticed, that you're appreciated, and that you're being honored. And every time you look at that coin, remember this: we love you, we appreciate you, we notice you.
Yeah, and by the way, the people who are getting challenge coins tonight, they don't know they're getting challenge coins tonight. So they're going to be just as surprised as you are. A couple more things I want to tell you about the challenge coins. Our original challenge coin, we minted 300 of these challenge coins. They had the founder of the Article 5 movement, Colonel George Mason's face was on them. On the other side was our old logo. Only 300 of them were made. We literally destroyed the mold, so we couldn't make any more of them. I want you to understand how rare it is that we give these out. It took us 10 years to give out 300 coins. Literally 10 years. So not even, if you think about that, that's 30 per year, not even one per state per year. So when somebody gets one of these coins, it really means a lot. We ran out of them about a year ago, I think, roughly, give or take, and we thought, okay, what are we going to do now? And it was kind of immediate and unanimous that we would make new challenge coins, but we weren't going to remake the same challenge coins, and everybody just said, well, Tom Coburn's face needs to be on those challenge coins. And so we created the Tom Coburn challenge coin. It's got his likeness on there, and it has a, there it is right there. And it has something on there. It has a saying that Tom said to me from a stage just like this at the last summit that he attended before he passed away. We were sitting in these chairs, and I asked him, why do you keep fighting? And he said, what else would I do? And it was so amazing of a moment, I had to stop the interview right then. I had other questions I wanted to ask him, but what else could we say? And that was the essence of the man. I've had a couple of people come up to me during this event and say that line, like, why do I keep doing this? What else would I do? And so the new challenge coins, that's what you're going to see. They're going to have Tom Coburn's face on it. It's an incredible honor to be able to honor Tom Coburn in this way. I feel him with us every single day that we're in the fight. So what we're going to do now is we're going to have the regional directors come up from each region. So there'll be the regional director and the associate regional director. Mike Ruthenberg is going to come up and stand here next to them, and they're going to call up their challenge coin recipients one at a time, and they're going to walk across the stage and get the honor that they deserve, which is just so incredible to be able to do this for them. Normally what we would do if we had a lot more time is we would tell a little bit about their story. I can tell you this about all of them. They're unbelievable, and there's not one person that will walk across this stage that everybody on their team will nod, and they will just say, oh yeah, well, of course that person deserves a challenge coin. So with that, I'm going to bring up our regional directors and come on up and let's get the show on the road. Jenny Rapini, by the way, #1 challenge coin.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Haley Shaw, Regional Director of the Northeast Patriots, and with me is my Associate Regional Director, Cindy Franco. It is my pleasure to award our first one to Richard Legg from Connecticut. Richard is the Coalitions Director. So Richard, come on up.
So we can take a picture right here. Turn this way.
Okay, for my second one, I have the honor of awarding Brian Hemingway from Massachusetts. Brian is a district captain. Congratulations. Okay, and for our final for the Northeast Patriots, I have the honor of awarding Bill Giaffredo from Connecticut. Bill is a volunteer activist extraordinaire. So Bill, please come on up. Thank you.
Thanks, Haley. Thank you, guys.
Hello, everyone. I'm Michael Arnold. I'm a regional director, and this is Stephen Patton. He's the associate regional director of the Union Region. We are very pleased and proud tonight to award our first challenge coin to Chester Jack from Pennsylvania. And next for the Union Region, I'm very proud to introduce you to Edward Presendance. He's the grassroots coordinator from Delaware. And finally, for the Union Region, I'm proud to introduce to you Lance Faust of Illinois.
Great job. Let's get a picture.
Good evening, Patriots. Great to be here with you tonight. My name is Grant Martin. I'm the regional director for the Coal Kids Region. Coal Kids Region, yeah! There we go, baby. So please, let me help me congratulate this amazing regional captain from South Carolina, Mike Harper. And again, please help me give a big congratulations to regional captain of North Carolina team, Hugh McWilliams.
She's getting all the hugs. That's true. Well done, Hugh. Here, stay here for a second. Let's get a picture. Awesome job, Hugh. Thank you. Good job, Grant. Love you, brother. Good job.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jonathan Viod. I am the regional director for the Appeal to 7 region. Yeah. I'm joined by Susan Siegler and Joyce Berry, who are regional director assistants for our region. And also want to give a shout out to Al Torres, who is another RDA for our region. He is watching at home, so thank you, Al. Now, if you would, please join me in congratulating these three amazing Patriots from our region, starting off with the regional captain from the great state of Tennessee, Glenn Neal.
Well done, Glenn. Brad, here, stay right here. Do a quick picture. Look over this way to your left. Awesome, Glenn.
Next, we have the state director from Alabama, Richard Bemis.
Well done, Rich. Good job. All right, quick picture.
And last but certainly not least, we have the district captain from the very first state to pass the COS resolution, and that is Georgia, Mary Maynard.
There we go. Good job, Mary. Congratulations. Good job, Jonathan.
Hello, everyone. My name is Catherine Zemanek. I'm Regional Director for the Great Flyover Region. And on my left here is the new Regional Director for the Flyover, Dale Tipton. Our first challenge coin goes to a wonderful lady, Virginia Morgan from Ohio, who's the state grassroots coordinator.
Congratulations. So proud of you.
The next challenge coin from my region goes to Diana Tellis from Ohio. Diana serves as the state communications coordinator, and she's the amazing assistant to the Flyover region. Okay, go ahead. The third challenge coin goes to George Mormon from Michigan, who is our SIA and what we call our Zulip champion. And because I couldn't choose just three, I have four. The fourth challenge coin goes to Bruce Finlayson from Michigan, who's the regional captain.
Good evening. I'm Deanna Beckett, Regional Director of the Wild West Region. We probably have the fewest, but yes, the loudest. Awesome. So glad to be here tonight. Our first Challenge Coin recipient is a Vietnam veteran from the Navy Nurse Corps from Kansas. She is a VCD team member, state grassroots coordinator, and a follow-up team member and Telepatriot master. Give a hand for Connie Davidson. Our second Challenge Coin recipient comes from the state of Colorado, from the amazing VCD team there, Lynn Ray. Our third Challenge Coin recipient is another VCD team member from Colorado. It's a powerhouse up there. Our next recipient is Ken Kuslich. Go ahead. Go.
A little traffic jam up there. Congratulations. Well done. Here, let's just make that up. There you go. Awesome job. Thank you. Well done.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Andrew Lush. I'm the Regional Director for the Western Patriots region. Can I get a chee-hoo? I have the honor of recognizing two leaders tonight. First, we have Mary Hebert, State Director for California. And I have my wonderful Associate Regional Director, Andrew Shooks, helping the next recipient come up. It is my honor to recognize Alberta Morault, who is a Telepatriot warrior and a district captain.
We're so proud of you. Get over here and give me a hug. Oh, congratulations. Turn that way so we can get it. There you go. Okay. So what do you think? How's that for heroes? My face is getting sore from smiling. I love this so much. Like, there's just nothing better that we can do than do that. Before we move on from the Challenge Coin recipients, I know there's a bunch of Challenge Coin recipients in the room. The leaders stick around and they continue to lead. We've recognized them before. So I'd love to have, if you could turn up the house lights and turn down the back lights, I'd love to have all Challenge Coin recipients, including tonight's, please stand for a round of applause. That is just unbelievable. Oh my gosh. That's 12 years of incredible Patriots. It's so, I can't even describe how it makes me feel to see that. I mean, you think about this, we started this and we just thought we're going to have these little awards we're going to give out. And who would have thought, here we are 12 years later, I think we're at now, Kristen, what did we say, 350 357 total challenge coins given out. And I'll bet you there's another 3,000 to come. What do you say about that? So we're going to do something special tonight, and this was something that was, I know the person who's going to come up here with me did not expect this, and so we held her hostage backstage after she came up here to give out awards, and I'd like to have come up here on stage with me Catherine Zemanek. This is a hard one. So, Catherine, how many years has it been with Convention of States now?
10 plus.
10 plus years with Convention of States. That's a long time to dedicate to anything, to any job. And Catherine started as a volunteer, and ultimately we snagged her up because we saw her talent and her heart and her commitment and her passion. And through thick and thin, Catherine has given everything that she could possibly give to Convention of States. And we found out a couple of months ago, much to our chagrin, that she had decided to retire. So that's always sad for us because we're going to miss you, but we're also incredibly excited for you to go into this next chapter of your life. Go enjoy the kids and the grandkids and the dog, provided you got him back from doggy daycare. I don't know if you guys heard this story, but somebody else, her dog got swapped with somebody else, and at her house was somebody else's dog. I'm just saying the person who's in the doghouse is her son who picked up the wrong dog and dropped him off at her house. You know, if you're like us, we love our dogs like kids. Your son didn't recognize your kid. We're going to have to talk to him. If you need him to have a talking to, I can give him a talking to for you. So Catherine's given everything she had, and she's moved around the country during that time, been through all kinds of stuff herself personally, and just kept going. And it's incredible to see this kind of dedication. This is the thing that keeps me going in Convention of States, is I look at somebody like Catherine and I say, I want to be like her when I grow up. I want to be able to work that hard and do that much and be that committed. And so it's just an absolute honor for us to honor her. And I'm going to bring up Diana Tellis to say a few words and finish this off.
So I submitted my first LMS report as a new DC in 2020, which was overly thorough because I was brand new, and I don't do that anymore so well, but I did then. So I soon received an email complimenting my fine work from Catherine Zemanek, our regional director, who I had not yet met. For some reason, there were several others copied on that email, and they knew I got this compliment, and later in personal conversations in person with these Ohioans, my cohorts, they spoke about Catherine with such a reverence, and that I should receive such a wonderful compliment from Catherine Zemanek. And I thought, wow, like, she's a big deal. Like, she's a big deal. So looking back, what I was really seeing way back then was the tremendous respect that the COS Flyover grassroots had for her, and they still do. I approached Catherine with the idea of being her assistant about 1.5 years ago because I would never volunteer my precious time for anyone less capable, less committed, and less hardworking. Catherine remains and will, into her retirement, committed to passing the COS resolution in 34 states. She is a patriot, a friend, a thinker, and a truth seeker. And I know this because despite the 1,000 hours of Zoom calls that I know she has every single day, when I would bring up a really good political podcast or a book and recommend it to her, she'd already read it and she'd already heard it. When Catherine wrapped up her final flyover call, she told us, "This has been the best job I've ever had." Her send-off made us all feel appreciated that night. And having for years balanced the trickiness of inspiring hard work out of a random bunch of volunteers with varying degrees of talent and commitment, she has always made us feel appreciated. The Flyover Region is in great hands with the newly installed Dale Tipton from Indiana, but Catherine Zemanek will be sorely missed. She's a big deal. So I realized, having her been in the organization for 10 years, that she pretty much had gotten every award, every statue, every book, everything that would normally be awarded to a regional director. So I decided I would do a charm bracelet because that seemed just a wonderful way to honor her. And the good news there was that I love jewelry stores, okay? So I got to go to a jewelry store, and even better, I got to spend other people's money. The Flyover Region put together, we all pitched in and bought Catherine this charm bracelet, and I had great fun picking it out. So I'll mention there are all of the states that are on your charm bracelet. All 7 states. There's a little airplane for flyover. A 34, there's a 34 on here somewhere. A flag. And the only one I regret not doing is a dog, to remind you to take care of your dog. So this is your bracelet. I love it. And then there is one on there because I was spending other people's money. The USS Constitution was a really expensive charm, but it's the only one out there that said Constitution, and it's darling. So thank you. Thank you for all your hard work.
Bittersweet, you know. This is an incredible thing. We were, over time at the national level, we recognize on our staff calls birthdays and work anniversaries. And because we try to really build this thing out like it's a family business. It's not just a business, it's not just an organization. This idea of servant leadership, we take it really seriously. You know, recently we've been doing a bunch of work anniversaries, and I've been completely blown away because we have people who've been with us 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 11 years. This is extraordinary, I think, in any business. It's not common in this day and age. People move around, they jump from place to place to advance their careers. They find places they get paid better. Lord, no, that's not hard with us, honestly. These guys don't get paid that much. You know, it's a nonprofit, and we're in it as a mission, and so these people, every person you see that is part of the national staff, I can promise you they're sacrificing to work here. They could make more money somewhere else, but they do it because they love what they do. And when I hear a work anniversary of somebody who's been around 7, 8, 10, 11 years, the thing that it does for me is it tells me that we've built the culture we want to build. If you lead an organization of any kind, and you want to intentionally put a culture into that organization, it's not easy. And it's not that it's hard for me as a leader of the organization, it's just that everybody has to buy the culture, right? So you can't force people to buy a culture. You can't just say, hey, we're going to be servant leaders, so now you're all magically servant leaders and you have to act like servant leaders, and here's a book that tells you what it means to be a servant leader. People have to buy the culture. And the way that they buy the culture is by coming into the culture, and then they see that the culture is actually real. One of the things that we hear very often as people come into Convention of States, we tell them what the culture is like. I mean, we're really upfront about it. We say things like, you know, we really are like a family. You're going to come to work for us. We expect you to put your family first. You know, if you need time off for your family, you just let us know you got something going on in the family. Just make sure whatever you had going on is covered. We'll absolutely cover for you. And we've had people go down for long periods of time. Health issues, family issues, deaths in the family. And our way of dealing with that is like you would do with your family, is you just take care of it, right? You take care of business. A few years ago, because we feel so strongly about this, at a national level, we put in unlimited vacation policy. And it was kind of a funny thing. There was a little bit of debate about it. For me, it was super personal. When I used to work for other people, I hated limited vacation. Like you take 5 days and then 7 days and you're thinking, man, Christmas is coming up. Do I have enough time to spend with my family? My wife wants to go visit her folks and I only have 5 days and she wants to go for 7 days. And I always hated the stress of that. And I also thought we're a self-governing organization. So what we believe is that people should govern themselves. Kind of unbelievable, right? And what that means in regard to the vacation policy is we expect that people will take care of their teams. They'll take the time off that they need, and the rest of it will take care of itself. And it's worked incredibly well with one horrible exception, to be honest with you. So the horrible exception is at the end of every year, like around October, the HR department produces a report of who's taken vacation and who hasn't taken vacation, so we can at least keep an eye on it. Because people do put in for vacation even though we don't track the time. And one of the things what I want to make sure, and why I want that report, is because I want to make sure that people actually are taking vacation. And I'd read something about unlimited vacation policy is that people tend not to take their whole vacation. You know, they're worried about it and they don't know how much they should take, and so they don't take that much vacation. And so they came to me and they would show me the people, this happens every year, who aren't taking their vacation. And I generally try to call those people and I'll say, hey, you know, I noticed it's October, you haven't taken any vacation, go away. Like, we want you to be fresh, you need to recharge, we care about you. We want, even if it's a staycation, take some time off. You know what people usually say? I can't. Like, there's so much I feel like has to be done. I just feel compelled. It's not that I feel like you're making me work, or I feel like I need to work because I don't want to let anything go because this matters to me so much. It's actually a problem in our organization. We had a consultant come in, an executive consultant, talk with our senior executive group, and one of the things he said is, this is the most committed group of any people that I've ever surveyed, and he surveyed Fortune 500 companies, Fortune 100 companies. He works with the DOD, every department under the DOD, every branch of the military. He said the only other group of people I've ever met that are as dedicated as Convention of States people are Special Forces guys. Literally. And he said, I don't understand this. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Special Forces guys, I get it. They're out in the war together. People are shooting at them. They train together, live together, eat together. I don't understand how you created this culture. And we stay in touch, and he said, you know, at some point I want to write a book about Convention of States. How do you do this in a company that doesn't even have an office? Like, you guys don't even eat lunch together, let alone train together and fight together. You don't even do the basic stuff together. And we talked about all the things that we do to build a culture that is really a servant leader culture. So we bring people in and we train them in servant leadership, and we ask the first thing that they do, call around the company and just get to know other people. Like, take the time to make appointments with a bunch of people in the company and just call them up and just chat with them. Not like something productive about your job, but just get to know people in the company. And invariably when people come into the company, they tell me, eventually they get around to chatting with me, and I get on the phone with them, so how's it going? And they'll say something like, this is weird. Okay, what's weird? Well, you said that this was like this family thing and everybody really cared about each other and everybody took care of each other. And I kind of didn't really believe it. You know, because you hear that at a lot of places, and then they'll say, and then now I've been here a couple of weeks or a few weeks or a month. It really is like that. And it really is like that. And that extends beyond our national staff down into our grassroots. And I got to give full credit for this to where this credit is due. This is my mentor, Tim Dunn. He's the guy that taught me all about this and how important this was. And he built a multi-billion-dollar oil company on the concept of servant leadership and self-governance. And I thought, man, if he could do that, I'll follow. I'm a good follower. When I see somebody who's super successful and they'll tell me what they did to be successful, I'm willing to try and do that. And Tim's an incredible mentor who's been with us all along the way, and he taught us this culture. And when you see these people come across the stage and they're giving everything, and you see somebody like Catherine who's given everything for 10 years, I'm just telling you that's the result of servant leadership. That's the result of the culture that we live in here. And the last thing I want to say about servant leadership is we have a servant leadership culture because of all of you. like I said, I can't force a servant leadership culture. The only way you can have a servant leadership culture is if people buy into it and actually want to be servant leaders. And for me, the ultimate model for a servant leader is Jesus Christ. That's my Lord and Savior. So that's what we try to model after. And we teach people service first. We teach people when you work with other departments, when you work with somebody else in your state team, when you work with somebody else in the region, the first thought is, well, in this relationship, in working with this person, what can I do to serve them? Right? How can I possibly serve them? In the national team, one of the most amazing things to me, we have zero drama, by the way. Literally zero drama on our national team. I've never worked any place where there was zero drama, so I love that. I'm a zero drama guy. And there's one phrase that I've never heard anybody say I've never heard it in our national team. I've never heard it from volunteers. I've never heard anybody say, that's not my job. In fact, the exact opposite. It's me saying like, hey, Chris, that's not really your job and you don't need to volunteer for that. I know how busy you are. Lydia, you don't really need to do that. You don't need to help with that. I know how busy you are. I'm like, I know, but so-and-so needed help. I know, but that thing needed to be done. That's a culture built around servant leadership. And again, all credit to Tim Dunn for teaching us that. He's not here. If he were, I'd bring him up on stage and thank him personally, because you got to acknowledge the people that taught you the most important things you've ever learned in your life. By the way, Tim Dunn, not just that, he's the guy that brought me to Christ. So that is the most important thing I've ever been taught in my life. The reason I wanted to go a little bit deeper in servant leadership, I think it's really important, but I also think what you're about to see are some of the supreme examples of servant leadership in our organization. Every person that you saw that came up here and got a challenge coin, 100% of them servant leaders. When I could watch how they live their life, I just know how much I would love it. I know most of them personally. They are true servant leaders. What we try to do every year is to recognize somebody who is our volunteer of the year, who absolutely epitomizes this. And this is a really interesting award in the way it developed, and we do this along with our team of the year. They can be from different states or the same states. But when we decided to start awarding this award, wait, did I say we? It's not we. I had nothing to do with it. I was excluded from this process, believe it or not. And the RDs came and said, hey, by the way, we're going to choose the team of the year and we're going to choose the volunteer of the year, and you don't get a vote. I was not real happy about that, if you want to know the truth. Honestly, the first time I was like, wait, what do you mean I don't get a vote? And they said, well, basically, you don't know. Like, we know. We work with our teams day in and day out. We go to these states all the time. We're on regular calls with the state leadership teams in these states. We know the volunteers. We know exactly what we're doing. We know way better than you do who the exceptional people are. I didn't like it, but it was true. And so this is something that's done solely by the regional directors in true self-governing fashion. And they get together, and each regional director nominates an individual and a team from their region. And then they debate it, and they discuss it, and they vote on it. And they winnow it down, and they winnow it down, and they winnow it down until they get to one. One person who perfectly exemplifies servant leadership and incredible volunteerism way above and beyond the call of duty, and one team that in this year we believe is doing it better than anybody else. Now, one caveat to that, it's really hard to choose. There are so many incredible volunteers out there. There are so many incredible teams out there. There are multiple teams that could absolutely be on this stage tonight as the best team in the nation. There are multiple individuals that could walk across this stage and win that award, and everybody who knows them would say, yeah, that's it. But we got to only choose one, right? So we got one team and one individual, and I don't know who they are. So this is pretty incredible for me to be able to do this. And so we're going to bring up Jonathan. Jonathan Viad is going to help me with this. And we are going to start by announcing the Volunteer of the Year. This year, the Volunteer of the Year is a guy who put more miles on his car than I can possibly imagine. I talked about him a little bit earlier. He's at the state capitol constantly. You can't go there without seeing John. He works so hard. He brings his grandchild with him to the Capitol. There's just nothing that slows him down. One of the things that I remember about John the most going to the legislature is watching him keep everybody else calm, right? So things would happen and this legislator's not on our side and everybody's like, let's go lynch him. And John's like, don't lynch anybody. Like, seriously, and John understood. He's like, look, that's not a bad guy. We can get him back on the reservation. And I heard this over and over from John. It's like, this is all about relationships. It's not about burning anybody. Politics is a game of addition. It's not a game of subtraction. We got to build coalitions. Like, literally the most sophisticated guy I see in a legislature anywhere. And so I want to have Jonathan say a few words, and then we're going to bring him up.
So, ladies and gentlemen, in case you didn't know, Texas this year removed their expiration date, their sunset clause. And when we passed the resolution in Texas, it was 2017 with an 8-year sunset clause. So if you're slow on the math, that's okay. It's been a long evening. This year was the deadline, okay? So we had to do it before the end of this legislative session. We wanted to have it done 2 years ago, and we were this close to extending it, not removing it. We were this close to extending it. And unfortunately, I won't give you the whole story, but there was a technical maneuver that was done on the House floor that killed our resolution as we were about to have the deciding vote on extending the expiration date. And it's hard to understand why that could have happened, because the Texas team has done an excellent job and it was out of their control. I think the reason that happened was, one, so we could completely remove the expiration date. But the other reason was because we needed John Van Compernoll to be there to lead the way, because the relationships that John has built in that legislature has the Texas team even stronger today than they were when we first passed the resolution. John has a saying that he will go anywhere, anytime, to talk to anyone about Convention of States. Well, John, we needed you at the Capitol. That's where you needed to be, and we're so blessed that you were there for us. So thank you so much, my friend, and congratulations.
Come on up, the Volunteer of the Year, John Van Campernoll. Come on up, John. Proud of you. All right, so I'm going to put you on the spot. You got to say a few words. So step up to the microphone here.
All right. It's not me. 6 years ago, Jax, my great-grandson, was 3 years old. I'm going to try to. I wish I couldn't cry. You make me do this.
I'm so sorry. I'm doing it with you, brother. It's okay.
And we were getting ready to move, and I was clearing up some land, and I drove my tractor off of a 12-foot cliff. This is what I call near death by stupidity. You know how long it takes a 3,000-pound tractor with a 200-pound man on it to fall 12 feet? It takes about a half a second. But if you understand the space-time continuum and relativity, it allows that half a second to expand into an hour-and-a-half conversation with God. And my concern was, what the hell is going to happen to Jax? And I'm worried about that. And I don't know if it was a voice, a feeling, a vision. And it said, I'm not done with you. He'll be fine. I need 15 more years to be done, so I'm feeling pretty good. And then I thought, wait a minute, you're telling me I'm the guy that's going to raise this kid? And once again, stupidity is the theme here. So I questioned God's judgment. And then all of a sudden, bam! Shut the hell up! Listen! And I'm going, what? And I'm slowly, on all four tires, rolling away from the cliff. And it's, be still, know that I am God. I've never heard God's voice. I've never known where I was supposed to be before. And for the last 6 years, I've done what I believe God intended me to do. Never more than this spring, I knew that God was on my side and we could not fail. And it wasn't me. And so I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to challenge each and every one of you. If you've never heard God's voice, it's because you're not listening. And there's only one answer when you hear God's voice. And that answer is, here I am, Lord. Use me. So, Mark, what else would I do?
Great example for these folks. Here, look over this way. Jonathan, come up here. Look at him. Good job, my friend. You stay up here, Jonathan. Man, you want to know why we do this? That's why we do this. It's an unbelievable honor to know and work with men and women like that. I can't imagine anything better. I can't imagine anything else I would ever want to do. And to get a chance to recognize somebody like that who deserves it so much is an unbelievable and humbling honor. So we're going to move on to the team of the year. And this is really hard too. So many teams are so good. It's more complex because there are so many pieces to being a good team. There's good leadership among the top of the team. It takes a state director that's extraordinary. It takes communications people that are really good. It takes the SI, the state information analyst, the person who handles the technology, to be solid, to be almost flawless. It takes coordination among all the team members. It takes somebody who's really good with the grassroots, who's willing to reach out and call people and get it done, who can get people to the Capitol, who can get them to do things that they don't even think they can do. And it takes servant leadership among all of those people. Real, actual teamwork. People who are willing to get in, put their shoulders to the wheel, and to do it all together. And again, this is a very difficult task. It's difficult to do what we do, what they do out in the field, and it's really difficult to choose the top team. Jonathan, we didn't discuss this before. I'd like you to talk a little bit about how you guys make this choice. How does it work as the RDs choose?
It's not easy because we know how many state teams are deserving, and it's all 50. Because each and every one of these state teams have incredible grassroots activists that give their blood, sweat, and tears to Convention of States, not because they're volunteers, because they're not. They're actually activists, and there is a difference. And these people will do everything they can to save this country for their kids, their grandkids, their great-grandkids, for posterity. They love this country and they're willing to do everything for it. So it's not easy for us regional directors to try and narrow it down, but we do, and we come up with a list. Each one of us will have at least one state and one volunteer, and then we will write out why we believe they are deserving. And some of us write longer than others. Some of us have a lot more to say than others. So it can be a little taxing to go through all of it, but it's worth it. And we will go through a round of voting. And if there are ties, then we go through another round of voting. And at that point, that regional director can't vote for his or her own state or volunteer. And so we do that until we find winners. And that's the process that we go through each year.
At that point, the smoke goes up the chimney?
That's right. That's right.
I love this because it's just completely self-governing, right? Like, nobody said to the RDs, hey, we're going to choose these teams, and this is how we're going to choose them, and this is how you guys are going to vote. They just figured this out on their own. Pretty much everything good in Convention of States comes from folks just figuring out how to do it on their own. It's just self-governing. All the best stuff comes from the teams, from the volunteers, from the RDs, and our job, actually, as the national staff, is to curate that stuff. So the best stuff comes up. We get a team that's the team of the year. They're doing things that are absolutely incredible. Our job is to copy that stuff and to turn it into a system that can be duplicated all across the country. The team that's the team of the year this year is a team that is really good at creating systems. And absolutely, they have everything dialed in. They know exactly what they're going to do. They know when they're going to do it. They know how many people it takes to do it. They know where they need to do it. They know how to target any legislative district that they need to target. That's not easy in this particular state. The reason it's not easy is because this state is so big. And so this year, our State of the Year winner, the team of the year, is from the great state of Texas. Congratulations. Come on up, guys. Come on up on stage. All you guys come up. Come on up. Come on up. Now, I have to admit, being from Texas, I'm a little bit biased. But I didn't get to vote, so it's not on me. But if you went to the state capitol anytime during the legislative session, you would see them in the state capitol. I mean, they basically office there. These guys at one point had Airbnbs down by the capitol, and they would come in and they would all stay in the Airbnbs together at the capitol. Last year, we had a donor that donated a bunch of hotel rooms near the capitol. So these guys are literally coming in and camping out at the capitol. I mean, just incredible, incredible dedication. I would go down there once in a while when I'm in town, because I travel so much, and so I'd see something was going on in Austin, specifically at the Capitol, and I would go down there to support them. And by support them, I mean stand around and watch all the great stuff that they were doing, because there was really nothing for me to do, because these guys had it so dialed in. I don't think it's a coincidence that John Van Campernol is on this team and one of the leaders of this team. It often happens that we get the Volunteer of the Year is also part, it's not mandatory, but also part of the state team of the year. This team is absolutely extraordinary. They don't all live around the Capitol either. They live all over the state, and somehow they all come to the Capitol. They're professionals, retired folks. We got a couple of ranchers on the team. By the way, we got a good quarter cow from them this year. If you're interested, the Boner brothers. I recommend it highly. But this team is absolutely the example of what it means to be the team of the year. I know every single one of them personally. They're all incredible servant leaders. This is actually a small portion of this team. It's a huge team. There are 300,000 petition signers in the state of Texas, so they got numbers on their side. It's a big team. They also have an incredible state leader and somebody who has become a dear friend of mine. I do not know how she does it. She works full time. I can call her anytime and she answers the phone. I worry about her other jobs sometimes. One time I said, Erica, I feel like you work for us full time, so why don't you just let us hire you? Like, why don't you come to work for us full time? And her response was, I'm sorry, you can't afford me. But she continues to work for us full time. And so I want to let her speak. But first, I want Jonathan to say something about the team.
Thank you. And it is so hard to just narrow this down because there are so many stories that I could share with you about these amazing grassroots activists behind me. I'll just go back to what I was talking about before. We should have addressed this 2 years ago. We had an opportunity in front of us and it was taken from us without anything that we did. It was out of our control entirely. And so what came next? What did these activists do? I was sitting at home. I couldn't be there with them. It was late at night. We're talking about maybe 10 or 11 o'clock, midnight. And so I didn't know how to help them. And you can ask any regional director, some of you who have been on teams where you haven't been able to pass and you've come this close, you know exactly what I'm talking about with this feeling of helplessness. And yet the Texas team went down to the the rotunda of the Capitol and they started to sing the battle hymn of the Republic. Because they wanted to honor God and they knew they would not give up. And I'm not going to surprise you with this, but the reason that this technical maneuver was done was because a Democrat made a move on the floor of the House. And the next day, members of the Texas team went to his office with candy and they said, "We don't agree with you, but we respect you and thank you for your service to the state of Texas." That to me is the Christian grace and love and search for truth that Charlie Kirk died for. And it is epitomized by the Texas team. I could truly go on and on, but I don't want to do that. So I just want to say congratulations to all of you and I love you.
Well, first of all, I want to thank all of the RDs that are not over Texas. Thank you guys so much for choosing us. This is a deserving bunch. I do have to say that. And I'm sorry for crying. It was a lot of work. It's a lot of work. Thank you to the donors, because without you, we cannot meet with our strategy sessions. We cannot make those drives. We cannot print the prints, and we can't do big events. So thank you all as well. This is a great team. It's just a little piece of it, and I want to also thank Paul Dunphy, who had to leave early today. He leads our Texas 181 prayer team. 181 because we have 150 state legislators and 150 representatives and 31 senators. And so they make those phone calls to every legislator, ask them for prayers. Paul said he had over 1,000 requests this year. That team is not big enough for all those requests. So putting God first, he's our state director. Yeah, I don't know what else to say, but I thank you.
You're welcome. There's one other thing that I wanted to add. All of the state teams know this. There are a ton of people that come and go throughout our organization because of changes of life or obstacles that may come up, and they may not be able to finish the race with us, but they make incredible contributions to where we get every step of the way. And there's one person that I wanted to mention here tonight that's not with us any longer, and that's Sammy Hammers.
Yeah.
And some of you may know Sammy, some of you may be new and you're not sure who she is, but if you've ever looked at the leaderboards and the activist points, I'm not sure anyone will ever catch Sammy Hammers.
Yeah.
Because she called and called and called and called. She has an unbelievable amount. I wish I looked up the exact amount. Sammy did it all the way up until the point that she couldn't anymore. and she passed away from cancer, I believe it was 2 years ago. But we would not have gotten this done in Texas. We wouldn't have passed when we passed in 2017, and we wouldn't have removed this expiration date if it weren't for Sammy Hammers. So thank you, Sammy.
As for John Van Compernol, what wasn't said, he lives in northeast Texas and drives to the Capitol, which is 4.5 hours one way and back. And so not only all the hotel nights, but all the hours driving back and forth to lead this team, our Capitol Brigade. We started the Capitol Brigade. We just said, come every Tuesday. Anybody, we sent it out to the state of those 300,000 email, come to the Capitol. The Bonnerts were there. The Bonner, the brothers. They said that they will receive anybody. And so their job was to go take those volunteers to every legislator, introduce them. And that's how we started our Capitol Brigade. And it's just been an amazing journey. Like I said, so thank you all so very much just for showing up to this event, for these 3 days, for learning, for keeping it going, because this is so important, so important. So thank you.
Hey, Erica, before you close, would you just introduce everybody on the team real
Oh gosh,
quickly?
I would love to. Yay, I got time. Okay, Edna Kruger. Edna does the artwork for our ornaments. So buy the ornaments every year. They are Edna, yeah. And then Michael Deffendahl is our state policy advisor. So anything the state party related and policies, he leads that. And then the 3 Bonnerts here. We've got Henry and Richard and Barbara. Jonathan, when he first came on board, he said, "Who are these Bonnert brothers?" He said, "Do we really need them? Because they don't put a report into the system." I'm like, what? Are you kidding? Anyway.
Rebels.
Then I advised him that they're the official beef providers for COS, so it's all good.
Not only that, but they also created our parade float, and they will drive anywhere in Texas with our parade float. Johanna is part of our Capitol Brigade team and is also regional captain. So she was at the Capitol a lot. So Joanne Martin and what's that? District captain, yeah, and she also fills in anywhere where I need it. So grassroots coordinator or training, or Cindy Nation, she is also on staff, but she's also in Texas. She answers the info at conventionofstates.com. We have Ruth Soisan. She's from the Houston area, regional captain. And when I said I need pledges, she went and, within a month, she had like 10 of them from the Houston area. She's amazing. Deborah Damon. Yeah. Deborah Damon is our coalition director for precinct chairs. So this is so important to fill these precinct chair positions within the party, both sides. Any party, we always say whatever party you belong to, but Texas is 98%. Anything, she's also known as the Robert's Rules of Order Ninja.
Yeah.
She can beat anyone.
The establishment really doesn't like her at all.
And she showed her skills at the Gave event. So,
yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And you know John Van Compernol. And then we've got Doug Messer. He's an amazing veteran and up in Northwest Texas, and Amarillo, and Barbara.
That's your boss, Erica. He wants to know.
And Doug and Carol's, I guess, decided not to stand with us, but she's chickened out. But Doug is amazing, and he's moving really quickly from district captain to regional captain, and so we're going to see a lot more of Doug.
Awesome. Okay, Erica, one last thing before we want to give you the award, so Jonathan will present you with the actual award. But I got some news about you, which was a little distressing. which is I heard you're not going to be in Texas much longer. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So tell everybody what's going on. You didn't know I'm putting you on the spot. Sorry about that.
I haven't told my team yet.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
I'm moving to Nevada. So,
Says the Nevada team.
so my mom lives there. She's aging, and I want to spend her last season with her. So. They're mad at me now.
I had no idea you hadn't told them.
It's good. It's good.
All right, so here's your Team of the Year award.
Thank you.
And we want to get everybody to kind of bunch in. We're going to get a quick picture before we close this part out. So you guys kind of squeeze in like you like each other.
They're mad at me now.
I can't believe I did that to you. I'm so sorry.
We're going to be mad at you for a long time.
Don't laugh at me, Rick. You would do exactly the same thing. He's over there like, you see what Meckler just did? Oh my God. All right, we got a picture going. Are we good? Are we good there? Texas. We good? All right, guys, congratulations. State Team of the Year, Texas.
Thank you. Love you too.
Yep. Leave it to Meckler to blow the surprise. Jeez. I thought everything was on the notes. Man. That wasn't on my note cards. That's the problem. I went off prompter. God, I think we have a president that does that occasionally. It usually works out better for him than it worked out for me, though. Of course I blame it on Rick Green. Who else am I going to blame it on? Jeez, everybody blames everything on their little brother, right? What's the O for? He's the younger, better-looking brother. What can I say? Again, my face hurts from smiling. It's so cool to recognize these guys. I'm so proud of them. To all the other state teams who aspire to that, probably a lot of you deserved it. Next year, it's gonna start over again right now. So if you want to learn exactly how the Texas team did it, that's one of the things we do really well. Then call Erica, call John, call anybody on that team and say, hey, come on, tutor our teams. You guys are all great, but you all do things differently, which is fascinating to me. It's self-governing, right? No two states do this the same. It's important because no two states are the same. The legislatures are different, the rules are different, the culture is different. You know, one of the things that I have to tell the Texas team sometimes, have you ever noticed that people from Texas think Texas is pretty cool? Because it is, I'm just saying. But sometimes I have to tell the Texas team, hey, the New Hampshire team can't do it the way the Texas team does. Can you imagine strutting into a New Hampshire legislature with your cowboy hat on, my shiny black boots on, and say, y'all got to listen to me how we do it in Texas. Doesn't work that way in New Hampshire, Connecticut. I've seen people try to do this. It's kind of funny. So the teams have their own style. They fit in with their own culture in their own state. Texas is a big state, kind of brash. It takes big personalities. You just got to have that kind of approach to things. And if you meet folks on our Texas team, you'll find a lot of folks like that. It's just different everywhere you go. And so one of the things I love is I get to travel everywhere and I get to learn from everybody. There is never a time that I take a trip and go somewhere that I don't learn something that seems so obvious usually. Somebody says, hey, have you ever thought of, and I'm sitting there like a deer in the headlights like, I've been doing this 12 years. How come I never thought of that? And I learn so much everywhere I go from these state teams. So that's why it's so fun and so encouraging to be able to bring them up here and honor them. This year we have a special award that we've never given out before. And the reason for this award is we had an activist who got sick, and he got really sick, and he ended up in a care facility, and it was severe, and it still is severe, and it was unbelievable because no matter how sick he got, no matter how disabled he was, he just kept going. Like he literally just wouldn't stop. And honestly, I feel like I can't imagine being like that. His health, his life at stake, and he still cared so much about Convention of States and was still so motivated to do what had to be done that we actually created a new award in his honor. And this is called the John Quincy Adams Award because, you know, my favorite phrase from John Quincy Adams, I learned this from Rick Green, is duty is ours, results belong to God. And I would say that Michael Riley exemplifies this. And so I want you to take a look at these screens and look at this video in honor of Michael Riley.
So kind, but man full of faith.
Sold out on Convention of States.
Anything he said because it was important to say.
He's a servant leader. He is a passionate man who has dedicated himself, and I can say his life, to being able to save this nation, to be able to use the tools that our founders gave us.
I would only pray that I would have half the fortitude that Michael Riley has.
Michael was one of the first applicants we had for district captain. Very quiet, very soft-spoken, but very wise, a load of knowledge.
Mike doesn't say a whole lot, but when he does speak, he says a lot, if you know what I mean. Those who know Mike would probably understand.
And Mike was always there, always ready to work, always putting something together.
He kind of became my sounding board for all my ideas as state director. When I was approached by National to come on, what do you think about the whole state director idea? And Michael, being the humble person that he is, he immediately said, sounds like it's the next step. Sounds like where I'm supposed to be.
When we went to the summit in Florida, me and him were trying to get a crew of the Maryland team to drive down, and it ended up just being me and him. I got to see his perspective of the state director role and how he was trying to add value.
Really were serious about making a difference in the state of Maryland against all odds for what we faced there legislatively.
Very interested in Convention of States, very willing to work and to work hard. He just kept going. You know, things didn't ruffle him. You know, we'll succeed or we won't, but we're not quitting. Mike really drove that home. Mike was a good leader.
Pulled us together in terms of our comms, put into place what I would call a battle rhythm.
Well, really like a framework for our team to follow, and we're still following that to this day.
Act, learn, adjust. Act, learn, adjust. He always relied on that, and it was always the right thing to do.
Specifically with Mike, the one thing that I learned just from observing how he handled that, you don't need to have a dynamic personality to do a good job in a leadership position.
So many of us have been through servant leadership, and Michael lived as a servant leader.
I mean, you want to talk about servant leadership, that was him. He gave so much of himself to Convention of States.
Not too long after that, he told me one time when we were on the phone, he's like, I was just walking the dog and I actually fell, and I don't know why.
We were having our day in Annapolis, and you came in with a cane, and I wasn't really sure what was going on.
He started to deteriorate, and he told me, I'm going to have to step back even more. I'm not going to be able to do the state director role. I don't know what my level of involvement will be because my health just is getting bad.
Whenever he had to step away, it wasn't just losing a state director, but it was losing a friend. But seeing how he's overcoming his challenges and still finding ways to contribute because he cares so much about our cause, that's inspiring to me.
He is now a full quadriplegic. He survives via feeding tube, but at the same time, his strength comes out in everything he does. He uses this eye tracking software, which he calls eye gymnastics, by the way. He uses that to communicate. He can type character by character to form sentences, and this monitor, this computer technology that he has, is also his window to the internet. When you see a post by Michael, the content is thought-provoking, but when you add on to that the fact but the perseverance and the effort he put into that short communication.
He hasn't stopped doing the job, little by little. One eye movement by the next. He's still fighting the fight.
Another testament to just the grit that Mike has.
It reminds me that what we're doing matters, and we impact so many other people.
It doesn't matter what limitations we may have as people, we can still find ways to make a difference.
Should the American experiment in self-governance end, we'll revert to the age-old tyrannies we've seen throughout time. Yet I have a different vision of the future.
That mindset is what was driving him, and I think is what is still driving him to this day, to do everything he can, because he has that sense of responsibility and also the sense that he can be used to bring about the change that he's looking to see.
We had a national webinar and the story of Michael Riley came on. And I'll never forget his comment that he put in chat. Now, mind you, he's typing this with his eyes, so this is not an easy thing to do. But he put all glory to God, and how fitting this award. Duty is ours, and results are God's.
Michael helped me write a blog post telling Michael's story. Michael Riley's story is not about politics. It's not even about health. It's about perseverance. It's about commitment to something larger than ourselves. There's a quiet kind of patriotism that rarely makes headlines, doesn't shout, doesn't seek praise, but it endures. It lifts others. It teaches by example. That's the kind of patriot Mike Riley is. And that's why his story matters. Because no matter the obstacle, whether it's fear, fatigue, or failing health, true patriots find a way to contribute. They keep the flame of liberty burning. They do what they can, where they are, with what they have. And in doing so, they remind the rest of us what real citizenship looks like.
It's my honor and pleasure to introduce Steve.
I'll just say you are truly, truly an inspiration. You have touched my life like you probably would never know. And I suspect those that know your story and know what you're doing and what you're going through will say the exact same thing. You are an amazing patriot, my dear friend.
Mike, from all of us at the COS Freedom Speakers Club, we miss you, buddy. We think about you and pray for you. You contributed to our club and made us the stellar club that we are. Thank you, Mike.
You value your freedom. You are a patriot. You love this country. You love your God. You love your family. And I just can't say enough good things about you. God bless you, Mike. I think if anybody were to qualify for this award, it would definitely be you.
Your faith is deep and strong, and it will carry you exactly the way our God intends it to be. Thanks so much, Michael.
Thank you for everything you did for me and with me. Convention of States, yeah, we all do stuff for that, but you've meant a lot to me. So the biggest thing I can say is thank you. I encourage you, keep going.
Mike, I miss you. I hope you're doing well, considering your circumstances. It's really encouraging to see everything that you have been posting on the social media accounts, and it's great to see that you're still contributing to the cause. You are making an impact, you're making a difference, and you're still an inspiration to me, and I wish you all the best.
Mike, I do miss you dearly. I miss your leadership. I miss your focus. I miss your friendship.
Michael, I'd like to say thank you to you. You've been an inspiration to me. You've been a friend. You were my right arm for the longest time with the Maryland team. You helped us grow. You continued the culture of the COS team in Maryland. For your example, for your inspiration, and for your friendship, I am truly thankful.
wish I'd seen that before now. Steve was saying the same thing. Because Michael couldn't be here, his dear friend Steve Patton is here to accept on his behalf the John Quincy Adams Duty is Ours Award for Michael Lee Riley 2025.
I don't think I've ever been without words. Hopefully, and the plan was that Michael is watching this live stream. So Michael, we love you, brother. We love you. And thank you so much. Michael Riley is right now a quadriplegic laying in a healthcare facility, able to breathe through because of a ventilator, able to eat because of a feeding tube, able to communicate because of some really slick technology called eye tracking software. And it's interesting when you go and you visit Michael, he's got a monitor right in front of him, and he calls it, I think I mentioned it in the video, he calls it eye gymnastics. And it's, I guess I can say funny, I've visited him enough times that now we do laugh. So his eyes are moving so quick, running around, and there's this computer monitor thing over him that uses a computer voice to turn his typing into words. And so I can hear him, sort of, but he's able to communicate. And Michael Michael could be in that bed, wallowing in self-pity, or even just, reading. And by the way, Michael is an incredibly intelligent individual. Philosophy, rocket science, and yes, Michael, I know you're not a rocket scientist, but I still like saying you are. Incredibly intelligent man. And he's able to communicate. And he uses that energy to still support a cause that is so dear to his heart. It's so inspiring to me. I didn't know Michael before he volunteered for COS. The Maryland team was tiny. And when I say tiny, it was Bob, it was you and I. Then it was C, and Bob and I. And then it was C, Bob and I, and Michael. And Michael he did, as you heard in the video, he jumped on every opportunity that he could to be part of the team. And the fact that I'm honored to be part of an organization that makes sure that we recognize and honor people like this, Mark. You do an amazing job, sir. You do. It trickles, should we say uphill? Inverted pyramid? Yes. But Michael still contributes. If anyone has been on social media, we have a lot of social media stuff going on, as you've heard, or you participate in yourself, you'll see Michael's comments, and it's Michael L. Riley, I believe, is his Twitter or X or whatever we're calling it. And they're very thoughtful. And they're not short. It's not just a quick click that's a like. It's a paragraph or two comment that's really well thought out and well stated. And Michael's that type of person in there. But getting that out has become something much more difficult than any of us sitting in here today has to deal with. So he has great comments, awesome intelligence, huge supporter of COS. But if you read those comments and you think to yourself, this man is laying in a bed, breathing through a ventilator, eating through a feeding tube, unable to move anything but his eyes and some facial muscles. That's an incredible act of perseverance and patriotism, on top of just getting the words out there. And then the words are incredibly intelligent and thoughtful on top of that. So, I will end here. Michael Riley, I love you, my friend. And thank you so much for being my friend. And thank you, COS.
Michael, we love you. I do hope you're watching. If you're not watching live, hopefully you'll get a chance to watch the recording. Everybody in this room is sending their love and their wishes and their prayers to you. And you are an example of what it means to actually just stay in the fight. You're like Tom Coburn, what else would I do, right? I know that's what you would say is, what else am I going to do but stay in the fight? And that makes you extraordinary inspiration to all of us. It's hard to transition from that, but the thing that makes it easy is this idea of inspiration. 13 years ago, I got a phone call from my friend Tim Dunn, who I've mentioned before, and he said, I have a friend that I think you need to know, and his name is Mike Farris. And he said, Mike has this idea about using Article 5 to save the country. And I knew what Article 5 was, so that sounded interesting to me. But he said something else that has proven to be much more important than that. And considering we are a Convention of States organization, hard to imagine what could be more important than that. But what he said is, you guys are going to be great friends. And that's proven to be true. Mike Farris, to me, has become a mentor, a brother, a partner, a co-founder. If there are bullets flying, he's the guy that I'm calling. I would go to him, and it's such a blessing to have somebody like him in my life. Another person who's part of my personal journey to being saved, to salvation. Man, there's just not enough great things I could say about Mike. Mike has done more things in his career than most people would do in 5 lifetimes. He was the founder of HSLDA, the Homeschool Legal Defense Association. If you have homeschooled your kids, if you're homeschooling kids now, if your grandkids are homeschooled, you have Michael Farris to thank for that, because there was a fight in this country in the 1970s, most people don't realize, in one way or another, most states had made it impossible to homeschool your own kids. And Mike said, that's just unjust. He was a young lawyer at the time with a growing family, and he said, this is wrong, it's unconstitutional, we're going to fight against it, and he did. I want you to think about the time of our history when Michael did this. For us, it's easy to imagine that you could talk to people all over the country and set up a network of people. We have email distribution lists, we have chat, we have mobile phones that we can pick up and call anybody. We have the internet. None of that existed. Michael built this Homeschool Legal Defense Association, this network all over the country, and the high-tech gadget of the time was the fax machine. It's really hard for me to imagine. And so he did this with grit, with determination, and a firm reliance on God. He founded Patrick Henry College. If you guys don't know about it, one of the best fundamental Christian colleges in the nation. Kids can go there, get a great education before they head out in the world. Because a lot of his kids end up at Harvard Law School. We're trying to richen that pool of people who actually believe in God and the American founding. A lot of the kids end up there. A lot of his kids have ended up clerking for the United States Supreme Court. Not for Ketanji Jackson Brown, just to clarify, for the good justices. Michael has coached teams to the moot court championship more times than you can count. Michael has argued cases at the Supreme Court. Michael co-founded Convention of States with me. Michael left Convention of States and became the president of Alliance Defending Freedom, where he oversaw 13 cases going to the Supreme Court. 12 of them he was victorious. One of them the Supreme Court just made the wrong decision. I don't know what their problem was. And he was co-counsel on the Dobbs case, overturning Roe versus Wade. One time I asked Mike, how many organizations do you think you've been involved in founding? And I don't remember what the number was, but he said X number that are still in existence. It was an incredible number. Again, people will say all the time, you guys hear this out in the field, well, we live in a time when there's nobody like the founders. There's nobody like Madison or Adams or Jefferson or Washington. And my answer is to introduce them to my good friend, Michael Farris. That was rough.
Well, thank you so much. I'm old school. I like to use notes. I probably won't actually use them, but they're there as a crutch. My goal tonight was to inspire you to persevere. But you just seen with Michael on that bed, you've seen such an example that what I'm going to say is going to be a pale echo of what you've just witnessed. And so I just want to add my appreciation for the example that's beyond anything. I think you're probably going to have to retire the ward, Mark. I don't know how anybody else is ever going to get it. That's just such a supreme example. Well, you heard a lot of stuff that I've done, and the fact is I'm old. And I've been a lawyer for 49 years. I became a lawyer when I was 7. And I have been, next year will be my 50th year of being a lawyer, and this is the 250th anniversary of the United States. So I've been a lawyer for 1/5 of the history of the United States. Contrary to rumor, I did not date Thomas Jefferson's sister in high school. I have worked on dozens and dozens of issues, but I'm talking about 3 issues that I believe are of paramount importance where I've devoted years of my life. One, as you've heard, in fact, you've heard all 3 of them mentioned already, but I'll give them to you 1, 2, 3, is the legalization of homeschooling, reversing Roe versus Wade, and calling the nation's first Article 5 convention to rein in the abuse of power by the federal government. Now, what I want to do is to give you lessons I learned and that we can learn from the first 2 efforts that took 25 years approximately to legalize homeschooling, 50 years approximately to reverse Roe versus Wade, and lessons from those perseverance, long-term efforts to talk about how we should persevere and why I believe ultimately we're going to win, just like we won in those other cases. And so we're now in about our 13th year of the COS movement. So in terms of big, long-term, nation-changing kind of activities, we're about middle-aged. You know, I hope we get done in 2 years. I think it'll take a little longer than 2 years. I don't know exactly. I mean, God can strike, and you're going to see in a minute why I think that there could be an event, an activity, a decision, something that could happen that could make us go really fast all of a sudden. And we have to be prepared for that. But let's just for a minute talk about each of these 2, homeschooling and Roe versus Wade, to see what the lessons are that we can learn from those things. Now, whenever I start thinking about the early days of the homeschooling movement, I tend to end up thinking about North Dakota, because I argued more cases in the Supreme Court of North Dakota than any other state. They were just persistently hateful toward homeschoolers and vengeful and not very bright, frankly. One prosecutor wrote in his brief at the Supreme Court of North Dakota that the reason that homeschoolers need to be taught by certified teachers is how else are they going to learn lessons from bullies on the playground, and how else are they going to get their eye examinations? Now, a few of you are approximately my age. You remember in grade school where we do these little eye things and they had the E and, okay, you remember that. So, but to say that, well, the bully on the playground, what I wrote in the brief as responding is, one can only hope that the prosecutor doesn't mean that the certified teachers are the bullies on the playground. But unless he does, it's entirely irrelevant to the case. And on the eye exam, all I had to point out was one of the homeschool families that was being prosecuted was one of the few eye surgeons in North Dakota. So I think they could get their exams just fine. Now, it took 25 years to win. It's not really the most precise way, if we're going to be really accurate, to call it the legalization of homeschooling. It was the recognition of our God-given right to homeschool our kids. So how do we do it? Well, the answer is we didn't do it. The answer is God did it. But what our role was in this God-given plan is important for us to think about because, duty is ours, results are God's. Well, they're not always the same. They're not the same elements in each of these two stories. I was born in Arkansas, so I can say this. I'm fixing to tell you. And by the way, you know what you call a person from Arkansas who marries a person from Oklahoma? Social climber. And so I'm from Arkansas, so I'm okay. I married a girl from Pennsylvania. But we had good litigation. We went after them. We had terrific grassroots legislative actions, plans, and people. We were at it in that zone. And third, and incredibly importantly, and this one is the carryover principle that I want us to think about tonight, we convinced a majority of the American public in our churches, in our neighborhoods, on our sports teams, in our family gatherings, that we were decent people and that our kids were doing just fine. If people didn't believe that kids were doing just fine, the recognition for homeschooling would not have happened in this country because people care that kids are doing just fine. And in reality, the reason the homeschooling movement has grown is what I call the great kid average parent syndrome. Is people look at the kids that are being homeschooled and the vast majority of them, they go, boy, those are great kids. And then they say, look at the parents and say, they're just average parents. If they can get great kids, maybe I can get great kids too. And it's that evangelistic missionary effort by example that has won the hearts and the minds of the American public. And one thing that homeschoolers did during COVID for the rest of the country, when everybody was all of a sudden a homeschooler by accident, is the fact that homeschooling existed and people generally knew that homeschoolers did just fine academically, it toned down the panic level that these parents thought that their kids were going to just waste away. They had some residual hope coming from the fact of the example of homeschooling that helped solidify the heart of the American public to the homeschooling movement in a pretty unique way. Winning the heart of the public is an incredibly important political tool. Now, you already know the centrality of good legislative strategy, good grassroots activism, but I want to emphasize we have got to do the same thing in the COS movement to win the hearts and minds of our friends, neighbors, and church people by helping them to know four things. That there's a problem with a runaway federal government. That takes about 8 words to convince people. That the problem won't be solved in Washington, D.C. That takes about 7 words to convince people. Now, the third one's a little longer. We have to convince them that the solution is the Convention of States. And then fourth, we have to convince them that the consequences are dire if we fail to act. Doing nothing is surrendering our country to fall over the abyss. That's what we have to realize. And we have to take that message so that the vast majority of American people know these 4 things, and there is deep societal support for what we're doing. Even if they're not all activists. We don't need them all to be activists. We just need to convince the heart and mind of the American public that this is the right thing to do. And we can do it by the same way that homeschoolers did it, by being good people, being good neighbors, talking to your friends, telling them what you're about, explaining it just in ordinary courses of life. I want to turn now to the second long-term thing, and that's Roe versus Wade. And to say it precisely, to give you my role, I was the president and CEO of Alliance Defending Freedom. ADF was co-counsel to the state of Mississippi, the Attorney General of Mississippi, Erin Hawley, Josh Hawley's wife, who works for ADF. I hired her. I'm not stupid. I know how to hire a good. I mean, she graduated from Yale Law School and clerked for the Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court. It wasn't too hard to figure out. This is really a good hire. And so she was our principal person working with the Attorney General's office. But we had a whole team, and I was involved a little in that team and helped do some things on it. But Erin really was our day-to-day lead person in that case. We had to be secret about it. The AG's office asked us to keep our mouths shut. And we did, but afterwards they told the world our role, and we really had a great partnership with the Attorney General of Mississippi. Now, we drafted for a legislator in Mississippi at ADF the law that was the subject matter of this case. And we were doing it. Our goal was to put a crack in the foundation of Roe versus Wade. We only had a faint hope that this was going to be the case that would overturn. We didn't think it would be, but we built enough in that was possible. But our goal, our tangible goal, was to put a crack in Roe versus Wade, because we felt that the Supreme Court at that time was more likely to take it down in a two-step process than in a one-step process. There had been a pattern of these kind of things. They drilled a hole in a bad doctrine, and then the second time they came to it, then they buried the bad doctrine. So we thought that was the right methodology here. But point two is God orchestrated an opportunity to challenge those through changes of circumstances, principally Amy Coney Barrett arriving at the Supreme Court to replace Ruth Bader Ginsburg. That was a material change of circumstances. And at that point, no longer was the goal to chip away at Roe versus Wade. The goal became to reverse Roe versus Wade. And the Attorney General of Mississippi is the one who made the decision to do that. I mean, ADF, of course, was encouraging that, but she had to make the bold decision to do that, and she did. And it will be to her eternal credit that she said, we're going to go for it. The best way to defend Mississippi's law is not an incremental argument. The best way to defend the law was to take down the monster of Roe versus Wade. And the Solicitor General of Mississippi argued the case. He was absolutely stellar. I mean, it was perfect. I mean, I've been a moot court coach. I've coached 12 national championships, 1 world champion. I'm picky about oral arguments. I thought his was pitch perfect. And I had the privilege of leading a party that night. We invited 500 of our closest friends the night of the argument. And the mood in the room is, it's over. Now, we didn't know that for a fact, but we knew it in our spirit. And we were, in fact, right about that. The Lord did do that. Now, it's easy for you to understand what I'm about to say next relative to Christian education and getting rid of abortion. God was central to that, and God delivered those victories. So how can we think, what's the arrogance to say that, what's our basis for thinking that God will deliver the victory on the Convention of States issue? What is about this that has that kind of parallel to Christian education and the right to life? Well, here's the parallel. And the bottom line is this. We are trying to take down a false religion that has seized control of many people in our society, and those people and that movement has created a morass in Washington, D.C. that are the natural consequences of the beliefs and worldview that they espouse. It is a worldview battle at the deepest level. And what do they believe? Number one, they believe that government is the savior. Now, why can I say that? You ask the question, what's going to solve the most important problems facing our country? Their answer is government. If you believe that government is the answer to your problem, government is your God. You are you're a statist, you're a government worshiper. You may worship smaller government than bigger government, but if you think government's the solution, you're on the wrong team. You think that government is God. Tim Kaine is the champion of the second point, and that is government creates rights, not God. You know, bless his heart. I want to thank Tim Kaine for helping elect it's not happened yet, but I am Baptist by background in theology. I'm not the son of a prophet, nor a prophet, and I've run nonprofit organizations for about 50 years. But I'm going to tell you right now, Tim Kaine is going to help elect a Republican governor, lieutenant governor, and attorney general in the state of Virginia this year because the public gets to see the central heart of the Democratic Party. And the central heart of the Democratic Party is government, not God, creates rights. Which means if government creates rights, they're not rights, they're privileges. Because what man can create, man can take away. Number 3, this false religion teaches that people are free. I was going to say men are free, but they'd get upset about that. People are free to define in their own way marriage and gender, which means God's definitions of marriage and God's definition of gender are not the same. By the way, if anybody asks you, well, I'm not a biologist, so I can't tell you what gender is. I have a son who's a PhD in biology from Notre Dame. He's a geneticist at the Mayo Clinic, and he can answer the question for you if you're interested. Number 4, man is free to define right and wrong, including the rightness of using violence to silence your political opponents. That's the philosophy that we are trying to dismantle. How deep is this philosophy buried in our country? In 2022, there's a formal study that 45% of college students in this country believe that it is permissible and acceptable to use physical violence to silence what they define as hate speech. Hate speech meaning things I disagree with. The philosophy that I've just described for you is categorically anti-American, un-American. They want to destroy America. Now, people will think, oh, that's overstating it. You know, they just want to love America in their way. You want to love America in your way. The reason I can say this boldly without any nuance is this. The core of America is not geography or the government or the society. America was founded on a cluster of ideas. This nation was founded on ideas and ideals and principles. That is the core of America. Those ideas are what this is all about. And when a group sets out to destroy those ideas and principles as the controlling philosophy of our government and the guiding light of our society, they are trying to destroy America, per se, end of sentence. We've got to persist because this is not a battle for small things. This is the battle for the survival of the most fundamental truths that define us as a nation and as a people. Are we one nation under God? Do we believe that the purpose of government, as said in the Declaration of Independence, that the purpose of government is to protect our God-given inalienable rights? Are we a nation that, are we a nation that believes that the goal of government is to tear down the philosophy that oppress the masses and redistribute wealth and power? Those are the alternatives. One is America, one is most definitely not. These are not arguments about differing means to the same end. These are clashes of worldview at the most fundamental level that must be won, or our society utterly fails. I have seen God deliver. I'll give you one example. I'm going to go just a little over time, but not much. The 1994, Democrats were in control of both houses of Congress. Bill Clinton was president of the United States. And a guy named George Miller, a congressman from Contra Costa County, California, where my wife and I were recently married, as long as recently includes 1971. And so George Miller put a provision in the big education bill of that year called H.R. 6 that said in order to teach any school, any class in America, all forms of education, you had to be a certified teacher. Now, the NEA, of course, wanted this, but the second reason it wasn't in the bill is the NEA had a resolution that if you're a certified teacher, you had to be a dues-paying member of the NEA. Just go figure what they're really after. And Dick Armey, a Republican from Texas, was on the committee, and he saw this provision coming through committee, and he moved to strike it in a markup provision in the committee, and he got voted down on a straight party line vote. He called me afterwards and said, do you think that I was right in my analysis? Is this a bad deal for homeschoolers? It certainly is, and it's a bad deal for Christian schools, and it's a little bit of a bad deal for public schools. And we took after it. And, we didn't, as Mark said, we didn't have any of the technology. In fact, Mark, I don't think we had fax machines yet. I was a young lawyer before I had a copy machine. We used carbon paper to make copies. That's how old I am. And anyhow, we went after it. And Newt Gingrich later told me that by his count and his estimate, we delivered 3 million phone calls in 8 days. Dr. Dobson, Focus on the Family, helped us to deliver a whole bunch of those. Marlon Maddox, his radio show delivered a bunch. But we did mail, we did telephone trees, we did all kinds of things that we could think of. We wish that Al Gore had invented the internet earlier. But we crushed them. We knew from all the calls coming in that we were going to win. The morning of the vote, Dick Armey had an amendment that was going to be voted on, and we were going to strip that out, and we're going to win. I was getting dressed. I was getting ready to drive into Washington, D.C., about an hour from my house to the Capitol, and I was just on cloud nine, and I got a call from Dick Armey's chief of staff. Said, Mike, we got a problem. I said, what's the problem? He said, well, there's a group that gets federal funding for certain educational things in their private schools, and they're afraid that the way we worded the Army Amendment, it might mess with their schools. And I said, oh, that's easy to fix. And he said, yeah, that'd work. But the procedure won't just allow you to just make an amendment willy-nilly like that. We have to get a waiver from the Rules Committee to do that. And I said, well, how do we do that? And he said, well, we've got to get the chairman of the Rules Committee, who is from Massachusetts, we've got to get calls to him from Massachusetts right now to get a waiver. His name was Joe Moakley. We got to get Joe Moakley a ton of calls from Massachusetts right now asking for a waiver from the rules. And I said, okay. So I called the head of the Massachusetts Homeschool Group. I told her what the deal was. She said, I don't understand it, but we'll do it. And at that point in time at HSLDA, we were getting as many calls as the congressional office. Our phones were ringing off the hip. Every time somebody would connect with their office, they'd call us and tell us what they'd learned. And it was overwhelming us. And we had about 40 staff at the time, and we told 20 of them to keep doing their regular jobs because we had other stuff to do, and 20 of them to answer the phones. And one lady that's supposed to answer the phone was Barbara, and she stepped away from her desk for just a minute. My daughter, Jamie, was 16 at the time, was a graphic artist. She graduated from high school, was a National Merit Commended Scholar at 15. And Jamie is sitting there, and she heard Barbara's phone ringing and ringing and ringing and ringing. And something in Jamie's heart said, go answer the phone. She'd been specifically directed not to answer the phone. She did it anyway. And it was Joe Moakley's chief of staff. If she had not answered the phone, it would have gone to voicemail, which was full. And we'd have never, ever gotten the message. And what would happen if this had been delayed while we try to get the rule to get it right? The NEA had time to gear up. We took them by surprise and delivered an overwhelming force in 8 days. But give them 6, 8, 10 weeks, the battle would have been on. There was no guarantee, and everybody knew it. There was no guarantee if this was delayed. So Jamie transferred Joe Moakley's chief of staff to me. He said, we're sick and tired of these phone calls. What do we do to get rid of these phone calls? I said, you're sick and tired of the phone calls? We're sick and tired of the phone calls. Everybody's sick and tired of the phone calls, but there's only one way to get rid of the phone calls. You got to take the vote today, and you got to give Army a waiver of the procedural thing to get the right version of his amendment on the floor. He said, I understand. He didn't say, we'll do it. He just said, I understand. If you were watching C-SPAN, a few minutes later, Joe Moakley walked across the well of the House, talked to Dick Armey. They talked for about 35 seconds, 40 seconds, shook hands. About 15 minutes later, they took the vote, and we won 422-1. I needed to learn this, that we did our part. We worked hard. But at the end of the day, it was the Holy Spirit of God speaking to a 16-year-old girl telling her, pick up the phone, that delivered the victory, because it is not by might, it is not by power, it is not by men that we win. It is by the Spirit of the mighty living God. I believe that God has blessed America from the beginning of our country because, at least then, in broad terms especially, our ideals aligned with Him. We had work to do. We had to get rid of slavery and other stuff. We had work to do, to be sure. But our ideals aligned with Him. We must be true today. And I believe if we are true to His ideals, we will, in due season, see the deliverance from Almighty God for our beloved country. Thank you so very much.
We're going to skip the interview. Michael Farris. Now you see why I'm not worried about living in a time when we don't have anybody like the founders, because we have people like Michael Farris, and though he's one of a kind, there are a lot of folks in this audience that I'd be very happy to have at the next convention, and you guys are going to be some of the delegates there. I know that's going to happen. Just a couple more things before we close out. I know it's getting late, and so we want to let you guys get on your way. Patty and I have a flight out super early in the morning, so we need to get out of here too. I want to go ahead and announce the winners of the Article 500 simulator race. So a bunch of you guys had the chance to race, and apparently we have some pretty good drivers out there. So we're going to bring up three folks, and they got gift cards from the COS gift store. And so let's see, I got them in the right order here. We have our third place winner is Sean Dayton. Sean, come on up. Yeah, look, he's weighing back. He's going to milk it for all it's worth. Our second place winner is Patrick Davidson. So Washington and then South Carolina. Patrick. Where's Patrick? Did he go? Well, I guess he doesn't win. No, somebody will bring it for him to South Carolina. And then first and definitely not least is Jesse Jensen. Like he's back there on the camera. We got the cameraman coming up. Come on, Jesse. I just got one question for Jesse. Where'd you learn to drive like that?
I can't tell you, it's illegal street racing.
In case you didn't hear it, he said, I can't tell you, it involves illegal street racing. Rebels with a cause. I love it. Good job, guys. there are a lot of people that make an event like this possible, and so I'm going to thank a bunch of them. I'm sure I'm going to forget some, so forgive me, guys. If you can't tell, I'm not perfect. Anybody? That's pretty obvious. Let's start, first of all, with the staff and our hosts here at the hotel. Thank you guys for the incredible service. You guys have done a great job. We really appreciate it. You spoiled us. We'll come back to Indianapolis if you'll have us. I want to give my thanks to Garrett and Eric. These guys do an incredible job with all the camera work. Producer G, Garrett here, and Eric behind the camera. Eric's also our director of graphic arts, does an incredible job. All the graphics that you see around here, the logo design for that, that's all done by Eric. So fantastic job, guys. We love you and we appreciate you. Four people really just most intimately involved with organizing this thing. And so I want them to come up and get the recognition they deserve. Carol, Kristen, Mike, and Tanya. Come on up, guys. Get out here. Where are the rest? Are they hiding or what's going on? Where's Carol? Come on, Carol. Where is she? You knew it was going to happen. You got to get up here. There's Carol. She's coming. Where's Tanya? Here they come. It's the finish, Carol, and you're wearing the checkered flag. You did it. Come on up. It's impossible for me to tell you how much effort goes into creating one of these events. And it literally starts over a year ago. And Carol came out here and scoped out the site. This was not the only place she came. She found a bunch of locations for us. She went out and scouted, ultimately picked this site. She's so good at it, I don't have to ever think about where we're going to be or how this is all going to work. Carol makes it happen. Literally every single detail you could possibly imagine. And along the way, and one of the most important things that she does is she makes sure that we spend your money wisely, because there's a lot of donors here in the audience and they pay for all of this. They make it so that we get a chance to do this. And so I just feel sorry for the people on the other end of the negotiations that Carol's doing, because she squeezes every penny of value out of these guys, and I love her for that. So Carol, we have a special gift bag for you. That's for you. Tanya is Mike Ruthenberg's wife. She's been with, how long have you been with us now? Five and a half years. A quick story about Tanya. I hired Tanya to be Mike's assistant originally. I mean, hired's kind of a loose word. I forced Tanya to be Mike's assistant. I called Tanya up. Mike had lost an assistant. I'm like, it's your husband. He's not going to survive without you. Please. And Tanya said something like, I don't know if I can do this job. I've never really done anything like this, and it's not really in my wheelhouse. And, I don't want to be behind a desk. You don't have to be behind a desk. Work from home. It's fine. Like every excuse she can make, I'm like, it doesn't matter. And at some point she's like, why do you want me to do this? And I said, I've known Tanya as long as I've known Mike, pretty much 40 plus years. And I said, there's not one thing I've ever watched you do in your life that you don't do to the highest level of excellence. So that's what she did involved in this. And she does it in so many things for Convention of States. It's absolutely astounding. I have a color code here. Okay, so this, I think the black one is for Tanya here. This matters. I've been told this definitely matters, which bag is which, so do not switch them. This one is for Kristen, and Kristen came to us originally as an intern, and she worked up and ultimately ended up running our intern program. She still runs our intern program. One of the things we try to do with young people is when you find extraordinary young people, you don't do what the Republican Party does, which is they say, hey, we'll let you say the pledge and clean up the trash. What we do with extraordinary young people is we give them as much responsibility as they're willing to take, as much authority as they can handle, and we just ask them to do the job. So Kristen now serves as our Special Operations Project Manager. Is that what's the actual title? Operations Assistant? Systems man. I don't know. She's got a title. Because this is the weirdest thing. She does everything. I mean, there's nothing that Kristen can't do. I was talking to her earlier today, and I said, the one thing I'm worried about is I'm just going to ask you to do everything, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to be able to retire soon. She's really extraordinary. She kind of, on the stage management and everything that was going on backstage, all these cards that you saw me reading from, full agenda, full spreadsheets. Kristen designed all of that based on her extensive experience and her training in managing events, which is none. I have never seen an event stage managed this well. I mean, down to the minute, everything choreographed, how people would move across the stage. She was up here running us through our dress rehearsal for that award ceremony. There's a lot of moving pieces. Kristen is one of a kind, and she made that happen, and we appreciate her for that. God bless you. And of course, earlier I introduced my lifelong best friend, Mike Ruthenberg. What's that? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm keeping her bag. I heard yours is the best. I was going to keep that. I just think the bathrobe will look good on me. So Mike's been my lifelong friend, and we've been through a lot together, more than I could possibly cover up here. Suffice it to say, we've been through thick and thin, difficult times, great times. We've been through marriages and watched each other do that, and kids, and then kids getting married. And Mike has his first grandchild now, another one on the way. We have our first grandchild. This is stuff that we've all done together. This is, when we talk about relationship, this is what it's all about, right? To do life together. We came to Christ together, which is an extraordinary thing. So we've done everything together. This kind of stuff, Mike oversees it. Mike represents what I would describe as the real true heart of Convention of States. So Mike, thanks for all you did. Okay, I was asked to do one more thing. I have a note, and it says, if I have time, have Carol and Kristen and Tanya pull out the name tags out of their bag and read them. So there are name tags apparently inside these bags. So Mike wants you to pull them out. These are like desk nameplates. And Tanya says, Chaos Coordinator. The Chaos Coordinator. Carol says, the Fixer of Everything. And Desk of a Humble Genius. Ladies and gentlemen, the people who made it happen. Thank you guys very much. Okay, make sure you guys fill out the evaluation form. Can we put the QR code up on the screen? Look at that, it worked.